all right. Next question is from Tammy. Um, and yeah, all right. It's got a triple face palm at the beginning, so you know it's gonna be good. So, all right, let's get mine out of the way. There we go. All right, my pro hydroxychloroquine friends are touting a recent paper written by Dr. Harvey Risch, a Yale epidemiologist. Oh, yeah, yeah. Wow. If he's from Yale, he must be right about everything, right? Right. Good. Wow. Um, are you familiar with this paper? What are your thoughts on it? Thank you in advance. I was not familiar, so I clicked the link and I went to it. And it is not primary, it's him talking about other studies from other groups. And the first one, and I think the main one that he cites, is by a total goofball called Zelenko. I forget what his first name is, but yeah. And so this Zelenko is one of the ones that started this whole thing off by basically mouthing off that he knew how to treat COVID and it was going to be fine. And yeah, his results are these. Well, there's different articles about him at different times. And at one point, he's treated 669 people, and in another one, he's treated somewhere over 700 people with hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. Problems are one, so he's published a study, and I'm air quoting that study because he's published it on his own website. And for those of you familiar with science, that is not how peer review works. Peer review is you send it out to some other people who should know, and sometimes they'll get two, sometimes they'll get as many as five. If it's controversial, they may call in extras. And there will also be an editor over all of this that's trying to figure out, okay, let these five or so experts have their say on it, and they will pick through every last bit of detail. And that's a job. It is a tough job to do well. It is not a paid job. It's a thing that you get to do on top of all the things that you actually have to do as part of your job. But it's just like part of staying in the scientific community. It's basically it's a really good thing to do. Um, and all this is carried out in secret because the idea is if it was completely out in the open, people would feel like they couldn't criticize certain things, or they would feel like they had to. You would be brought into it. Personal relationships would start to play in this, and the idea is that you ought to be able to do this without. And so you put down your comments on the form. You make a set of comments to give to the author. If you'd like extra experiments, you explain what they are and why. You say, figure 7, I don't like the color that you used. It's a little different. It's too close to this other color that's in the same figure. I can't tell them apart easily. Or this thing's too small, or you left off the units on your graph, or it looks like you're missing this experiment, but you might have done it. Could you just put it into the paper? Because, yeah, then, this will answer questions. It's the job of all those reviewers to be super skeptical and to pick this thing apart. And if they say it's okay, and the editor agrees that they're saying it's okay and that their reasoning seems to be sound, that the editor's looking at it and saying, yeah, I can see where that's coming from, then yeah, as long as it's a positive review, rather as long as they're all pretty positive, then it'll eventually be published, and this will be in what we call a real journal that uses peer review and archives things forever and stuff like that. When you publish something on your own website, that's a blog post. Yeah. And this is a blog post about medical science. But yeah, it's the opposite of peer reviewed. And also, apparently, this thing is also retrospective. And so, retrospective is where you do stuff and then you go back and you look to see if the stuff you did in the past, without any idea of what you were doing, if it actually worked. And so there were some patients that were given this, some patients that maybe weren't given this. And the important thing is there is a doctor involved in that decision, and they're making clinical decisions based on the best of their ability or whatever, yeah, whatever they're working with, yeah. And yeah, so retrospectives kind of point at maybe this is something that should be investigated, but yeah, you're not gonna sway a good scientist just based on retrospective studies. Yeah, you gotta have prospective, placebo-controlled, blinded, or better yet, double-blinded, so the patient and the doctor both have no idea what they're getting. Studies, and that's how you actually test these things out. Because if there is an effect, it is a very marginal one. Like maybe a teeny tiny bit of people getting, a little bit better. And as you're setting up these studies, the thing that's hard to do in a retrospective sometimes is to go back and, say, what if, yeah, like, oh, it looks like you gave the young people the treatment and you didn't give the same treatment to the old people and they died. What if you'd given the treatment the same to everybody? Or what if there was an even number of people in of each sex, age, whatever other variables you can do, diabetes, obesity. What if you had matched all of that and controlled for it? Which is this is stuff. This is the reason why you employ a statistician, because they're good at this stuff and figuring out how to do this and how to do it in a way that is kind of open and honest. So yeah, yeah, that's my opinion on this article, this person, and the data. This whatever he's called, Zelenko, whatever he is. Yeah, I believe they are reporting on their experience. I believe they have seen something, but humans are subject to gigantic biases when they want something to be true. And I don't see how you separate that out here. That is the big uncontrolled element, is that by really wanting something to work, and then by having full access to the data and knowledge, and by occasionally perhaps removing people that you say, well, yeah, all right, I gave them the drug, but they were too far along, so we got to exclude those from the study, and not necessarily having to tell anybody what you've done. You can end up with really good looking results, but that don't actually mean anything and aren't reproducible. And science is only useful to the extent that it is reproducible, that it's predictive. We're trying to predict the future. Yeah, retrospective studies kind of already failed at that because they're just looking backwards. Yeah, sometimes it's the best you can do, but in this case, it is not the best you can do. And the best evidence actually shows the opposite of this, that most people survive, um, and that the ones that don't survive are not helped out by hydroxychloroquine treatment. That doesn't change your odds of being in one group or the other. So I don't know. Yeah, I feel like from the point where we started mentioning data and study types, I feel like anybody that you're talking to that sincerely believes this stuff would have switched off and yeah, already started working on their rebuttal. So it's probably a pointless exercise. But anyway, that's the science as I see it, as far as I can tell. So thanks very much. This is Ask Dr. Ben.